Hello everyone, welcome back to the Add a Zero Challenge, where I try and take $10,000 and run it up to $100,000 playing live cash games. We are starting the day with a $10,305 bankroll. Finally, after 7 episodes, we are in the profit, looking to continue that story today. Let's get into the hands. So we're down a little bit of money to start the day. With the king 7 of spades, we make it 35, and it folds around to the big blind in the straddle. Or, excuse me, the straddle. In the straddle, who calls? We go to a flop with 70 in the middle. The king 7 of spades. Seat 8 is a regular. You know, someone that plays quite a bit, playing solid. We flop, such a good flop here. 8-7-5 with 2 spades. We flop the pair and the flush draw in the spot. We decide to bet 50 into a pot of 70. This is the sort of board where we often check back. This is a very good board for the opponent that called in the straddle, because they're going to have hands like 8-7, like 8-5, like 6-4, like 6-9, whereas we don't have those hands, right? So our flop strategy, we often check, but when we bet, we choose a bigger sizing. With our bluffs and with our value hands, this time we happen to have a value hand. So we bet 50. My opponent is a thinking player. I know that they're definitely going to check raise us a decent amount here. And they make it 175 to go. Now we've got about 600 back. And what's the best play here, right? Like what should we do with our king 7 of spades? Well, we're doing pretty fine against most things that are strong. Against 9-6, like, okay, fine, we're slightly behind. Against 6-4, we're slightly behind. Against sets, we're slightly behind / flipping. Against everything else, we're doing well. We're ahead, basically, against all the other hands. So the question becomes, do I want to try and force my opponent to fold an 8x that check raise the flop? Like ace 8 is going to check here, 8-9 is going to check raise here, 8-10 is going to check raise here sometimes, king 8 is going to check raise here sometimes, 6x is going to check raise sometimes, you know. There's a bunch of stuff that's going to check raise that isn't a straight or set. And if I come over the top, I can get all that stuff to fold, which is pretty decent. If I call with my king 7, and we go to a turn, well, it's going to become very fuzzy on the turn, where then we're relying on our opponent bluffing. So I actually talked about this hand with someone else, and they said, oh, I think you should just call here because they always have a straight or a set. I think that's incorrect. I think that this player is definitely going to check raise a lot of hands that aren't straights or sets, because I know the type of player they are, and they're a good player, right? I would certainly check raise with a lot of stuff here. So I decided to go all in, push my equity, force them to fold some hands that are slightly better than us with 8x, force them to fold flips with, you know, about 200 and about 300 in the middle at this point. So we do shove. 6-4 is what they have. They only run it once. That 8 gives us a lot of outs. 8-7, any spade, but we lose the pot and we lose a stack. Looking down at the king jack of diamonds in a straddle pot, we have seat 1 open to 30. I'm going to 3-bet it to 90. Over this raise with this king jack of diamonds. Beautiful hand. The straddle continues, comes along with a call, and seat 1 comes along with the call. King deuce, a beautiful flop. We love to see this when you 3-bet king jack suited and you're 3 ways in a 3-bet pot. We check it around to the flop. The turn is a 5 of clubs. Seat 8 is actually going to bet here 75. Seat 1 calls, and action is on us. We decide to just call here. We're really not protecting from very much. Someone's going to have a bluff because it's not everyone can have anything here. We can get our money on the river. We don't have a very deep stack. So 3 ways to the river. River is the 4 of spades, and we get a bet of 300. We call it down. Our opponent shows aces. Tough flop in the 3-bet pot. They just called the 3-bet pre-flop with aces slow playing and unfortunately ran into the trips. So we win a nice sizable pot there and gain some chips back. Looks to be about 1,200 in our stack, something like that. On to the next hand. We look down at kings with the 1,200 in our stack. We get a raise from seat 6 and then a 3-bet from seat 9 to 90. We're going to make it 240 to go here. This represents a lot of our stack. We only have about 1,200 or so. Looks like I'm just eyeballing there. So we make it 240 with the kings. Seat 6, who we played with all day, has been watching the stream for a lot of years. Good player. Folds, and it's back on seat 9. Seat 9 clicks it back to 700. We go all in for about 1230. It's a call. And we are up kings against ace king, I believe. Kings, ace king. There it is. 2 times. We're buried in for 3,600. It's a huge pot. It's important for the challenge. Run out 1. Looking good. We keep it clean. Let's go. Dodge the 7 outs. We win the first run. Second run. 3 outs. Got to dodge the 3 outs. We do. Let's go. The full double up there with the kings. Looks like we're up about 2,000 now, so we're climbing our way back. Going to start the next hand with ace king of clubs. We have a limp under the gun. We're going to raise it up to 25. C6 calls. And back on seat 1, who decides to go all in with the limp jam. Ace king of clubs is really great. So we decide to call. Seat 6 does not take the bait. They fold. So we go all in. Ace king against, I believe it's ace 10. Ace 10 hits the top pair. We lose the first run. Second board. We lose both boards. Ace king against ace 10. We lose. We lose about $250 there. Not ideal. Not what you want to see when you're buried on the day. I think I have the coolest piece of poker software you've ever seen today. It is called Hybrid Poker. Brand new piece of poker learning software where you test your score against myself, against Daniel Negreanu, against Bill Perkins, and see how you score against the 3 of us, as well as other poker players as well. But Hybrid Poker learns about you, the player, this is really cool. As Hybrid Poker gets to know you, it's going to tell you what to work on. There's a link to the IQ test down below. Try it for free. I think you'll like it. So try it out. Moving on, we're having fun. We are ace of diamonds, king of hearts. In the big blind, we get a raise, call, call. We squeeze it up to 140 with our ace king. Once again, back on seat 1, who goes all in. We call. Okay. I think we got this one. I think we're going to win. I don't know what the hand was. We do get the chips in the end from seat 1, but it just took a while. We put him on loan for a second. Shows an ace something. I can't see exactly what it is. Looking down at queen 10 of spades. We get a call in seat 8, a call in seat 1. We're going to make it 55 in the straddle plot with our queen 10 of spades. Seat 8 calls. And seat 1's along for the ride. So we're 3-way pot here. 175 in the middle or so. Go to the flop of king 10 8. We flop a middle pair with backdoor spades. Now seat 1 bets 115 into the middle, leads into us here. We decide to call with the queen 10. It's not a great flop. It's an okay flop, right? We have a middle strength hand. We have some ways to improve. So we call. Turn is the 7 of clubs. We have to be done with this hand now. It's just a bad hand. Our opponent bets about 200, it looks like, something like that. And then shows the deuce 4 for the stream. The crazy bluff on the stream. Takes it down. We get totally owned with our pair of 10s. But hey, what are you going to do? It's a bad board. We don't know our opponent has the deuce 4 in there. We just got to lose the pot. It is what it is. Looking down at aces, the absolute dream. So we get a limp from seat 8 in the straddle pot. We make it 40 with our aces. Seat 6 folds, and back on seat 8, who's going to call. So we go to a flop with about 95 in the middle. Let's call it 100. Jack 3-3, beautiful. Great flop, super dry. Don't expect very many threes. We just want to go to value town here. Try and get as much money as we can from a jack. We bet 40 into 100. Small bet. I mean, most of the time our opponents miss, right? So we want to bet small here, allow them to continue with ace highs, allow them to continue with whatever. And they check raise immediately. They check raise very quickly to, it looks like about 130. We call. Turn is a jack. This is not a good looking card for us. But again, you have to sort of know our opponent, which is they limped under the gun. They called the limp raise, and then we bet very small into them, and they check raised. How many jacks are going to check raise there? Some, for sure. But when this jack comes off, I think more so they have air, right? They limp called. We have a bit of a dynamic with them. I could be beat, but I think I'm actually up against a bluff here most of the time. A 3 is completely nonsensical. So they bet 200 here on the turn, and we call again. We've definitely got an aggressive dynamic. The river card is a 4 spades. Backdoor spades get there, but again, you know, it's a double paired board. I don't think it's a huge consideration. Bets 183. I ask how much, and he says not that much immediately. My feeling is that I've got the best hand here. I think they're just making a play on me. Yes, it's possible they have jacks full house, but I'm just getting the vibe that I have the best hand, basically. I make the call. Up against 10s, I believe. Their hand is 10s here. So we win a nice sized pot with the aces. Could have gone poorly, but we get it done, and we add more chips. Making a sick comeback here from the depths. Is it possible to actually get a profit today? It could be. 36.39 in buy-ins. Eyeballing, it looks like we have 2,200. Looking down at the 10s here. We have a straddled pot. We have a limp from seat 1. We make it 45 to go. Seat 6, 3 bets us to 130. Now, we are very deep against them. Over $2,000 deep. Seat 1 is going to come along for the ride. And this is a no-brainer. Continue with our 10s here. We have an amazing opportunity to play a massive pot if we can flop a set. A little bit of foreshadowing. 4, 6, 10. All spades. We flop top set 2,000 deep in a 3-bet pot. We get a bet of 100 from seat 6 and a call from seat 1. I'm thinking value town. Now, it is possible someone flopped a flush, but it's not super likely. We want to put some action in here. Get some money in the pot. Make sure we get paid from the naked ace of spades, the naked king of spades, from the jacks, queens, kings, aces, all of that. So we raise it up to 350, and we get a call. In the pot right now, there is 130 plus 130 is 260 plus 130 is 390. Plus 700. We've got 1,100, 1,200 in the pot right now. The turn is the beautiful 6 of hearts. We've got the nuts, unless they have quad 6s. We bet 500 on the turn. I like the small bet here. There's no need to go big, right? We've got about 1,300 behind on the river. We don't need to go massive. We can get all the money in, and this is a good sizing with our bluffs as well to put pressure on the overpairs. River is a jack. There is a few hands we lose to. The jack's full, but not likely. Much more likely our opponent has queens, kings, aces. Even flushes is possible, of course. So we go all in. And my opponent tanks for about 5 minutes, shows the kings, and folds. I think my opponent makes a good fold with kings for what it's worth. Of course, we can see I have 10s, but in other times as well, it's just tough to bluff enough there. If they have aces with the ace of spades, it's a little different. But with kings, I think they got to fold. We fought back to be minus 544, in for 3,600. One of the worst 2-5 sessions I've ever had in my life to start that session. We fought back to be down only $544. So we're going to start the next episode with a bankroll of $9,761. What a crazy session, an interesting session with some massive pots. I hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Subscribe wherever you're watching this, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, etc. And thanks so much for your time. I'm going to go hit the live felt now in real life. Till next time, we'll see you later.